Okay, hi guys, and welcome back to AS Level Success. My name's Nick, and I put videos on YouTube to help you understand your AS Level exams. For those of you who know the IGCSE Success video, I was trying to copy that. Yeah, never mind. So I don't know if this is going to work. I'm going to try really hard to do this. I'm sorry I can't be with you guys this morning. I'm going to send you guys the link so that you guys can kind of watch this tomorrow during normal class time. Without further ado, let's get going. So earlier today, okay, we were talking specifically about analysis and interpretation, and I can't remember which fabulous student, if I remember correctly, it was Clarissa, who kind of identified when we're looking at that other piece of text, the interpretation. Okay, so this is now the next section. Okay, this is now the next section. So analysis, okay, and interpretation are two very different things. Okay, and interpretation is what, as I said earlier today, interpretation allows us to have a good understanding of the text. Okay, but we need to think about how interpretation helps us. Okay, so we do close analysis of a piece of text. So you guys at the moment are busy burrowing your way through the shooting the elephant text. Okay, looking for those tiny little gems. Okay, and remember all of those things. Okay, from from the very beginning, those structural devices, all of the language devices that we've spoken about so far in the unit, form, voice, language, viewpoint. Okay, all of these things are going to be part of what we need to do in order to prepare us, okay, for writing our analysis. Okay, so close analysis is looking at what a word or phrase suggests. Okay, so close analysis is looking at what a word or a phrase suggests or conveys. Okay, and as we saw in IGCSE Success, okay, doing our analysis there, okay, we learned, okay, that we need to have almost a point evidence explain method. Okay, a point evidence explain method. Okay, so when we're looking at a word or a phrase and what it suggests or what it conveys, that is what leads us to an interpretation. So that is what leads us to the interpretation. Okay, so we identify through close analysis, okay, perhaps a word or a phrase, and we identify what it suggests, what it conveys, what image it creates. Okay, and through that, we develop our interpretation. So, yes, interpretation is needed, okay, when we're understanding the text as a whole. So, absolutely, don't throw interpretation out with the baby. You throw the baby out with the bathwater. Okay, so maybe don't throw interpretation out with the bathwater. Okay, we don't want to throw the babies away. Well, you know what I mean. So the point being is interpretation is what helps us, okay, explain, okay? So think of analysis as basically kind of like a big jersey, okay? That big Christmas jumper that grandma knitted you that has the little bear on it, okay, with the Christmas hat, okay? And you want to, instead of going out and buying a new jumper, you're going to recycle your old jumpers. So you've got to start unpicking all of those little details, okay, so that you can start taking out the wool, okay, and looking at all the little fine details as you run this wool through your hands. This probably works better when you see the picture, so I'll have to change back to here. Yes, I'm still here. Okay. I'm using this for the video, okay? Just work with me on this. It doesn't record a video unless I do the video. It just records what's on the screen. So, this is like, so it's kind of like unraveling. And as you're unraveling each line of the text, okay, you're letting it run through your fingers and you're taking notes and you're looking for all those little gems, okay, while you're busy rolling up all the text onto the one side. So you're building up from the text a good interpretation, okay, as you're basically unpicking all of these little ideas. So now you've got a whole lot of little ideas, okay? It's kind of weird. I normally only see myself in a small screen. It's actually, it's the light. I'm just going to say it's the light that's making me look really, really old. Okay, anyways, no photoshopping. Where was I? So, a good way to look at it is to think of analysis as unpicking the detail from the text to understand how the text works. Okay? So, finding the details, the little gems, okay, inside the text to understand how it works and to think of interpretation, okay, as going beyond the specific details to draw your conclusions. And let's have a quick look at our text here. So this is our student response. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so here is our student response. Okay, so let's take away the rainbow. Okay, so the writer goes on to describe. Now, I've heard that somewhere. Where have I heard that? Okay. Oh, wait a second. I remember the writer goes on to describe. I knew I'd heard it somewhere. Okay. He does look just like me. Okay. Just a younger version. Okay. Look, I can do it. Wait, maybe I need to put some hair on. No, okay. Yeah. It was worth a try. So, let's go have a look at the text. The writer goes on to describe. Okay, so we're looking here. Okay, the devilish roar of glee that the crowd makes when the first shot is fired. So we can see, okay, that we've taken a main phrase. Why are you no work? We've taken a main phrase. Okay, so he's describing the devilish roar of glee. And look how nicely the student has embedded the quote. So he's identified this phrase, devilish roar of glee, and if you look at the text, it definitely stands out. Okay? I mean, there's something really horrifying and scary about it, which is definitely what the writer is trying to do. Okay? Orwell is in many ways trying to divert the blame and the attention. So he's describing this crowd, okay, as having a devilish roar of glee. Now, you can use this basic structure. The writer describes the devilish roar of glee that the cloud makes when he fires the first shot. Okay, lots of fires. Okay, when he fires the first shot. The student, now remember, you're looking to show off to the examiner. You want to show the examiner, okay, I know stuff. Okay, so I've made my first point. The point that I've made is that the writer has described the sound that the crowd makes, okay, when he takes that first shot. Okay, so that's the point that the student is making here. Because that phrase stood out to the student. So here we have our point. The adjective, now here, okay, is that language, okay, that we need to also ensure. Because at GCSE level, I even remember teacher Ash saying, you can say word, adjective would be better, but if you say word, it's okay for GCSE level. At AS level, we now want to show that we have elevated our learning, that we are now way above what we learned in GCSE. Remember I said to you in GCSEs, what we learn in GCSE is what helps us develop in AS level. So this is the exact same idea. So the student goes on to say, the adjective, okay, the adjective devilish. So here's my quote. I'm taking it from the original quote, but now I'm explaining why the writer has described the sound that the crowd makes when the first shot is fired as a devilish roar of glee. I explain it because remember we focus on the effects, okay? So we say the writer uses the word adjective, but now remember we want to be concise, we want to be more precise. The adjective devilish, okay, and here's that magic word, okay, that makes our analysis so much easier, okay, suggests. Okay, so it's not, because I don't know George Orwell, neither does the student. I don't think any of us know George Orwell. Well, not personally. He was around my time, but we went to different coffee shops. So, the adjective devilish suggests something. And think about what that word devilish suggests to you. It does have a very negative connotation. All of these are thoughts that can come into when you're writing. Okay? It suggests something primitive. Okay? And something that is almost. Okay? So words like suggests and almost means that basically you're saying it's like that. That's what I see. Okay? And almost evil in their joy. Okay, because that word glee means happiness. Okay, so there's that juxtaposition almost of devilish and glee. Okay, and he's likening the crowd to almost some sort of a primitive evil beast. And that's what makes this quote so perfect. Okay? Because it allows me as the student, okay, to write, what, 50 words, 45 words? Okay, no, I lie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So yeah, so it's about 50 odd words. No, I lie. 40 odd words. I know someone is counting them right now and then is going to obviously tell me. Okay, but it doesn't matter. Okay. So the adjective suggests something like a primitive and almost evil in their joy. Okay, so there's my point. Okay, these are my quotes. Okay, yes, this is a quote. Okay, but now I'm digging down into the phrase that I've decided, that I've extracted from the text. Okay, here's where my interpretation is starting to come in. Almost evil in their joy, something primitive. And that he does not share the crowd's delight. That we've had to figure out. Okay, in the words that he's using. Okay. Furthermore, I mean, you could have another suggestion there, or also, okay, here they've used the noun raw. Yes, it's a verb, but it's described as a noun. The raw is described as a thing, therefore it becomes a noun. Okay. Hang on, I got that the wrong way around. That should be green. Holy guacamole. Keep up with all the colors, teacher Nick. Okay. So he goes on to describe the noun raw, which suggests. So think about what the raw suggests to you. What roars? There's only two things I know that roar. Okay? Wild big cats or wild beasts. Okay? And the awfully dangerous, okay, chicken lion. Very rare, you don't see them around lots. Not very many people know about them. Only me and Colonel Sanders know about them, the chicken lion. You could probably look them up on Google. Okay? The lion's body, the head of a chicken. Look up lion's body, head of a chicken. Okay, anyways, not now, after the video. Okay, so the noun raw suggests he sees the crowd, suggests there again. Okay, so now that focus is on the crowd, okay, suggests that he sees the crowd as almost, look at that, it's a copy. He's kind of copying the same thing again. Now you guys are going to be far more creative, okay, but this is a really nice way to ensure that you have a very balanced, very focused way of looking at your piece of text because you've practiced this enough. You know how this works. The noun raw suggests, and identifying the noun is going to get you lots of bonus points. Okay. The noun raw suggests he sees the crowd. The writer sees the crowd. Okay. As almost being like a wildy beastie. Okay. As almost being like a wild beast. And this is where our interpretation comes in, okay, which is unpredictable and dangerous, and I would have put he fears them, but and fears them, but to be nice and concise. So here, let's make it purple. Can we make it purple? Okay, there we go, look at that. Just invented a new color. I'm going to call it Lubler. Okay, so that is the interpretation. That is where the interpretation comes in. Okay, so I want you to think of it almost as if it's kind of like a explicit and an implicit understanding. The explicit is I'm explaining what I think the writer meant by the words devilish roar of glee, by the phrase devilish roar of glee that the crowd makes when he fires the first shot. Okay? And we know from reading the text and from annotating the text, okay, that it is the crowd's pressure. It's the pressure from the crowd that actually sees him making that decision. Making that decision. Okay? Because he knew what he should do, but he knew he was going to do no such thing because of the crowd. That had gathered around him. Okay. And that is where the point at the interpretation at the end. Okay. The crowd, the word devilish roar of glee means that the crowd is unpredictable and dangerous, and there's a certain amount of fear inside of him. So I'm explaining, okay, through the use of my fantastic understanding of these words of adjectives and nouns, what it might suggest. Okay, but you'll notice that the student here, where we at GCSE level might have finished, the adjective devilish suggests something primitive. Okay, and perhaps almost evil in their joy. That's GCSE. Here we go on to give that deeper interpretation, that he does not share in the crowd's delight. The noun roar itself suggests that he sees the crowd as almost being like a wild beast, which is unpredictable and dangerous, but it's my interpretation of the way that the writer is describing the crowd. Okay, the sound that crowd makes in the first shot. So this is normally where I turn around and say to you, does anybody have any questions? Or pop your questions into the chat box. But since this is a YouTube video, okay, please don't forget to like and subscribe and leave any comments below. Hang on, I've got to do that on camera, don't I? Okay. And don't forget to like and subscribe and leave any comments below. Okay. I wouldn't want to look at that picture in big either. Okay. or screenshots. Okay, so here's where we go into the fun part. Okay, consider how the student is writing this commentary and has used analytical and interpretive skills. So I've explained that to you. Okay, what phrase has the chosen student to analyze? Has the student chosen to analyze? I did a wedding once. I told you guys I married two people in Mexico on a beach, and I had to do the wedding ceremony. I was the what do you call it? I suppose the padre. And their names were Gareth and Taryn. And it was only afterwards that I realized when I saw the video that more than once I mixed up the first part of their names and I called them, what is it, Tareth and Garen. I mean, I was nervous. Okay, I was nervous. And it was more than once that I basically, but it was great fun. It was really nice. I wore a suit and standing on the beach in front of this couple, marrying them with all these wise words. And it was actually, well, anyways, that's a story for another day. So, you see, you students get me distracted. I blame you guys. Okay, so we looked at the words within the phrase that you identified within the text and we zoomed in on them. Okay. So you can go and take a look at some of your annotations that you've made. Okay. In your first and your last paragraphs. Look at some of the phrases you've chosen. Okay. And think, where could I use a similar technique? Okay. Where I break down the phrase or I break down the word. I analyze the word. What is the writer suggesting? What does it mean? What is the effect that is created by this? Okay, and what does it allow us to interpretively understand? Okay, what does it allow us to interpretively understand? Okay. Not so fast. Okay. So we discussed the interpretation, okay, that the student made about each of these words. Remember those interpretations that the student made in the new color that I invented, Libli? I think Libli is better than purple. Libli. It's Libli. Do you know that that's where the Phoenicians get their names from the little snails and the ink, the purple ink associated with royalty? Anyways. So, that gives us the interpretation. So, it suggests, we develop the idea as best as we can, and then we interpret what we've said in the purple. Okay. Yes, I can hear the questions and we'll discuss your questions. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, Clarissa, just calm down. Okay, we'll okay, Lids. Okay, I know you got lots to say. Okay, just wait a minute. We'll get to it. Okay, so remember that the interpretation is your idea. Okay, it's like an hypothesis. Okay, so in science, when you guys, any of you guys doing any of the blowy up subjects in the science, okay, you create a hypothesis. It's almost as if you're trying to say, well, if I mix silver nitrate and ammonia, I'm sure somebody knows what will happen, okay? you get a silver boom, perhaps. That's what I think might happen. So this is the same thing. You're kind of taking the information from the text. You're taking the information from the text, okay? And you're giving your hypothesis or your interpretation of what the writer is trying to say or to convey to the reader. Okay? So this will involve your skills of inference. Okay, everybody knows what inference is, to infer something. Like, please like and my video. Okay? So, okay. You just have to like it. I don't really have a channel to subscribe to. Okay, not yet. I'm busy working on it. Okay, so the inference is expressing these ideas in your own words. So we looked at the word raw, okay, the meaning, the sound made by a wild animal such as a chicken lion or a lion, okay, and what we are inferring is that it is dangerous and unpredictable. The crowd is dangerous and unpredictable, and the writer fears the crowd. Okay. Now you get to have your turn. I'm so excited, Teacher Nick. This is so exciting. I love it when it's done like this. I just love it. It's like my favorite. Okay. So, in that instant, in too short a time, one would have thought, even for the bullet to get there, a mysterious, terrible change had come over the elephant. He neither stirred nor fell, but every line of his body had altered. He looked suddenly stricken, shrunken, immensely old, as though the frightful impact of the bullet had paralyzed him without knocking him down. Okay. So you guys are currently busy beavering away, okay, digging through this text, okay, and you're identifying things that you see in the text, things that stand out, okay, and there's tons and tons and tons to see. And remember, you're not going to comment on everything, and a lot of the ideas might actually be linked together for different reasons. Okay? But I want you to take a minute. I want you to find a word or a phrase. Okay? I want you to take a word or a phrase, perhaps something that you've annotated already in the text. Okay? In the task that I gave you today. Okay? Have a look. And I want you to kind of think about it. I mean, what is there to discuss in this text? Okay, think about perhaps the imagery. Think about the language features. Think about perhaps the structure of certain sentences and the use of those commas. Okay. think about what we said. Okay, just here. Okay, so you're identifying the phrase. The interpretation is what you think the writer is trying to say, or what the writer is trying to convey, to share. Okay, so you've got to think about, what is the writer inferring? What is the writer inferring? Okay. So what is its meaning and what does it infer? What is the meaning of the phrase that you've chosen and what does it infer? Think about why you chose that word or that phrase. Was there a specific thing? Hello, babies. Yes, I'm talking to myself. But you can come sit with the daddies. You can't even do a class without at least somebody interrupting you, n'est-ce pas? Okay. So, did anybody... not so fast. Yep. Did anybody choose the word mysterious change? Okay. Have a look. Okay. A mysterious and terrible change. Okay. Did anybody choose that? Or the mysterious, perhaps mysterious, terrible change? So what is the meaning of the word mysterious? Forget about change, terrible for a second. Forget about terrible, just think about mysterious. Okay. So what is a mystery? Yes, prettiness, I'm right here, babies. Okay, what is a mystery? Oh, it's something that we don't understand. Okay. Like how our pets just love us. That to me is mysterious. We never think of animals loving each other or not loving each other. But we sense them loving us. Because she's beautiful. Hey, she's so beautiful. You want to come sit on Daddy's? There we go. You can climb underneath if you want to. There we go, baby. That's what she wanted. Okay. Is that happiness in babies? Yes, I love you too. Okay. So, what is that mysteriousness kind of inferring? What is that mysteriousness inferring? Okay. This suggests that there is something almost beyond reason which the writer cannot make sense of. Okay. This suggests something that is almost beyond reason, something that is uncomprehendable. There's one of those lovely low frequency words you could use. Okay, this suggests there is something almost beyond reason which the writer cannot make sense of. Okay. So I want you to look at the next one. Terrible, just on its own for now. The terrible change. So what is terrible? Okay. Broccoli and white sauce that we used to get in boarding school. My God, I have no idea how they can make anything look so disgusting and so bland that for years I couldn't face cauliflower and white sauce. I mean, you know, give me the opportunity. I would have gone in there any day to show them how to make a decent roux. Okay. I make a delicious cheese sauce myself. Anyways. So, terrible. What is the meaning of terrible? Okay. So, causing horrible or horrified feelings. Okay, because this is when he realizes what he has done. This is when he realizes what he has done. Wait a minute, bus. Yes, you're stuck. There you go, babies. Okay. So, terrible. Okay. So I want you to think about what type of word terrible is. What kind of word is terrible? What does it mean? A horrible feeling? So it infers, okay, it infers that the writer, okay, had this feeling of dread at realization, or the writer's realization of what he has done, perhaps. The writer's feeling of what he has done. You may have your own inferences, and that's what AS level English is all about. Okay? Think about how it is related to the effect that the shot has on the elephant. Okay? So I'm going to give you a minute. I want you guys to write down, okay? I want you guys just to write down what you think it might infer. Now, I can't exactly make you guys show it to each other. Perhaps the students at Woodbury might be able to kind of pass it to each other, and some of the guys at Touchbase, perhaps. Okay, if some of you are together there, and maybe just, you know, show your note or type it in the chat box. Okay, or type it in the chat box. Okay. I will try and join the meeting. Okay, and I'll send you an email after this once I've checked that everything has worked. Exactly how we're going to do this. Okay, so let's okay, yeah, there's your minute up. So share it to somebody, think about it. Okay. Now I want us to have a look at perhaps another phrase that somebody might have identified. Okay. So, what is our phrase again? I forget. And welcome to IGCSE Success. What is our phrase that he used up here? The writer goes on to describe the elephant as immensely old when describing the effect of the shot, perhaps, on the elephant. Okay. Immensely. So immensely, what is immensely? It's got an ly at the end, normally, not always. If a word ends with a li, it's probably a adverb. Okay. So hugely or enormously. So why would he describe the elephant as suddenly immensely old? Okay. The elephant seems to be what? Okay. The elephant seems to perhaps age prematurely. Okay. Or death kind of throws a shroud over the elephant. So the elephant seems. What is your interpretation? Okay, what is your interpretation? I don't know if this is going to work. Okay, I could say put your comments in in below on the YouTube video. And if this is working out, I'm going to pause for a second. Maybe you guys can just shout out a few ideas. It's probably going to be difficult and scary. Or maybe into the chat box, throw a couple of ideas into there. And then let's just see what some of you think the elephant seems in your interpretation. Okay, don't be afraid now. Okay. I'll hum in the background. I'll hum something nice. Guess who shot the elephant today? No, okay. I'm going to pause just a sec, guys, to see if anybody actually is going to share an idea. So, pause the video now. Okay, so hopefully some of you guys were able to share things, but I can understand how difficult it might be in these circumstances, so I don't blame you. Okay, I will touch on some of these things later on. Okay, especially when we are going through our analysis of the overall text. Okay, so don't worry too much. Okay. Then all on your own. Okay, all on your own. I'm not going to say or do anything. I'm not going to influence you in any way. Really, Icky? I'm not going to influence you in any way. Okay. I want you guys to basically complete the rest of the table. Okay, just on a piece of paper next to you. Okay. Complete the rest of the table. Frightful impact. Frightful impact. Okay, you can go back to the text. You can scroll up back to the text. Hello, Icky. Okay. As though the frightful impact of the bullet had paralyzed him. Think about this word frightful. Okay. What does frightful mean? Okay, remember when we were looking at the earlier ones? Terrible. Okay, it means that it's something that is horrible or horrified feelings, perhaps. So, what is frightful? What is frightful? Why might he be frightful? What is your interpretation of that idea? Okay. Put your comments below or pop them into the chat box if you wish. Okay. You know, or share them there. I mean, you can DM on the chat box as well. DM them to somebody. Okay, send them a what is app. Okay, but share your ideas, and then I'd like you guys again, just on your own, to basically choose another word or a phrase that you saw in the text, something that from this specific section, something that you may have highlighted. Okay, and follow the basic idea of the table. I mean, you can almost think of this as a type of planning. It's a very long planning, but it can give you some ideas. Okay, because when we look at the annotations that I gave you guys, you saw some of the interpretations or inferences that the students may have made there. So allow yourself to have a look, okay, at those ones, if you have to maybe see what they, if you didn't find anything else, okay. So now I'm going to play you guys a short video. We should be coming to the end of the lesson, okay. So let me find it.
I was eating because I was stressed out, candy bars and chips and donuts, gaining weight. But since I started Noom, I've lost 70 pounds before I went on Noom. I didn't like how I looked. I couldn't even see my feet. I used diet programs in the past that required...
Okay, so it's a specific video. Now again, guys, I know I've made you watch this before. Okay, we are going to watch it again.
Hello and welcome to EngliLearn. Today we're looking at the annotation process for Paper 1, Question 2. As you already know, in this question you will be given one text to read and you need to write your commentary or analysis essay based on that text. Annotation is a big word that essentially means making notes on the text, identifying any interesting word choice or language features the author used. As we already mentioned before, examiners don't grade your annotations. However, this is a really important step in the process of analyzing a text, and it will help you do your best in writing your commentary. Before we head on to a sample text analysis, we need to understand some key principles in order to avoid common mistakes in the annotation process. First of all, before you even start reading the text, you need to know what you're looking for. Otherwise, you will waste valuable time focusing on irrelevant things. I can never stress enough how important it is not to waste time in this exam, so make sure you're focusing on the right things in your reading process. What are those things? What are you looking for in a text? First of all, you're trying to identify what I call the big three. Those are audience, purpose, and tone. Audience is who the text is intended for. Purpose is why the author wrote the text. And tone is the writer's attitude towards the topic he's writing about. In addition to this, you need to correctly identify the genre. Remember why? We spoke about this in one of our previous videos. Every genre has its own rules, and knowing these rules helps you focus on the important things in the text. The good news is that genre or text type is almost always clearly spelled out for you in the task itself. So what genres can you expect to see in this question? It can...
Okay, I just want to jump in here and just basically mention that you got to keep in mind that we will be looking at the different conventions of those text types next. That is kind of our next process going forward. Okay, but that does not prevent you at this stage for basically thinking about the types of things you might see in a piece of narrative writing. Back to you, teacher Adna.
Can be anything ranging from memoirs, autobiographies, diaries, blogs, articles, reviews, speeches, letters, and a wide variety of descriptive and narrative texts. You can never know what you're going to get, so make sure to be familiar with the basic characteristics of all of these genres. Another major aspect of the text you need to focus on is the form and structure. How does the author lay out his text? Is there some form of development or progression from, for example, a melancholic tone in the beginning towards a more hopeful tone at the end? Or is there perhaps a major turning point at some point in the text, where the author changes the topic or the focus of the text? Is there a contrast between two sections of the text? You need to be able to identify these and comment on them. Some aspects of structure and form are also conditioned by the genre, so that's another thing to pay attention to. The aspects of text that we spoke about so far are, so to speak, higher order language features. By that, I mean to say that they're more related to the text as a whole rather than individual words and phrases in the text. Sometimes students focus so much on individual language devices that they forget about these big issues, which is a big mistake. So I mentioned them first to make sure you always remember them. Examiners expect you to constantly link individual words, phrases, and language devices the author used with the text as a whole, with its structure, audience, purpose, and tone. This is why it's really important to constantly keep this in focus as you go through the text. Of course, structure, tone, and purpose are created through the use of individual words and phrases, so when we move down from the whole text level to individual words and phrase level, there are other features you need to be looking for. These include figurative language and word choice. Figurative language includes all kinds of figures of speech, such as similes, metaphors, imagery, onomatopoeia, personification, and so on. Word choice can include different parts of speech and phrases with strong positive or negative connotations. Here, it's important to mention that you need to be able to precisely and correctly identify all kinds of grammatical features. These include different parts of speech, types of phrases, and types of sentence structures as well. Individual words, even as small as conjunctions, can sometimes have a major impact on the development of a text. So you need to be able to precisely identify them using the correct linguistic terminology. Finally, if the text has the purpose to persuade, you need to be able to identify and comment on a wide variety of different persuasive techniques. Before we move on, I have a question for you. Which of the text features I mentioned seems the most difficult for you to identify and comment on? Is there something you find difficult and can't understand? Let me know in the comments below and I'll try to reply and help you. Now, let's move on. Knowing what to focus on is important. However, merely identifying language features and quoting the words from the text won't get you far in terms of your grade. On this level, you're expected to do a much more in-depth analysis of the text. To do this, you need to use what is called the PEE approach. Yes, I chose that abbreviation on purpose. I hope some toilet humor will help you remember it better. PEE stands for point, example, effect. P stands for point. What language device did the author use? As we already mentioned, you need to precisely and correctly identify the language devices used. E is example. For every important language device you identify, you need to mention a specific quote from the text. Here, it's important to note that you should avoid using long quotes. Please don't quote entire sentences. Precision is really important in this exam, so when choosing what to quote, always try to focus on 1 or 2, maximum 4 words at a time. I promise this is always a better approach. Finally, E stands for effect. That means, and this is an absolutely crucial step in the process, you need to explain why the author used those precise words. What effects did he want his words to have on the reader? How did he want to make the reader feel, or what did he want to make the reader do? Here, it's also extremely important to be very precise and explain in as much detail as possible what exact emotions the author was trying to incite. Also, in this part, it's very important to focus on connecting the effects of the individual words and phrases with the purpose, tone, audience, and structure of the entire text. Now that you've understood the process of annotation and what information you need to include in your commentary, we can move on to a sample text annotation. That will be the topic of our next video, so be sure to subscribe. If you have friends or classmates who you think might be interested in these videos as well, share and let them know. If you're a teacher, feel free to contact me and let me know how I can support you further. Happy exam season, everyone!
Okay. Thank you very, very much, Teacher.
Want to pass your next certificate?
Thank you very much, Teacher Adna. I think that makes a very good point. Okay. So we go back here. Okay. So I also want you guys to keep in mind, okay, so at the end of that video, Teacher Adna was talking about how you're going to connect your ideas in a larger way to the overall effect of firing the shot on the writer. And then also think about the overall effect of the elephant being shot. Okay? And no, it's not bad. If the elephant doesn't feel bad and the writer doesn't feel bad, I want you to think of the overall effect on what the writer, on what the overall effect is on the writer. Okay. So according to my clock, that is technically the time up. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you guys. I might have caught the end of the lesson. Okay. Thank you to everybody that's basically helped me kind of try and get this together. You guys are awesome. I release you. Have a fantastic day. Do not forget to like and subscribe. And I will see you guys on Friday. Oh. And if you liked my video, okay, don't forget to like and subscribe. Push the subscribe button and the thumbs up. This light is terrible. Oh no, that makes me look even worse. And maybe this make me look brighter and I look younger. And it takes a bit of getting used to. Very shiny. Bye.